Hi everybody, it's Christine at CLAldridge Art, and I wanted to show you today some new things that I have gotten into the studio, some WIPs that I am currently working on, and hopefully do a little bit of coloring on a page that I began on last Sunday's live stream. So the first thing is I was over in Deb's stream. That is always a dangerous place for me to be, the modernist colorist, because he gets the best books in the world. He's got great taste in the unusual, and I saw this over there, and then I saw that Dee Dee had also picked up a copy of it, and so I went ahead and had ordered one of my own. Now, this I don't believe is actually a coloring book. It is an art book that can, in fact, be colored. It is by an English artist named Rory Dobner. It is called The Ink House, and the drawings in it are simply incredible. I won't do a flip through of it because there are a lot of flip throughs of it that are coming up, but I just wanted to point out some things that, as an artist, of course, that I look at. I wanted to get this to study how he did this brick wall, the castle, the underground basement. I love that he has made these all fountain pens. Each of the pillars is a fountain pen. It's got several different kinds of cross hatching for me as an artist to discover. If I ever wanted to make a drawing with a ladder extending through a hole, I could look back at this and sort of see the correct dimensionality of it. I mean, this is sort of how we learn. So I wanted windows set an oblique angle. I could just look here and see quite how that is done. So from an artist's standpoint, this is a treasure trove of a book, and who knows, I may in fact color in it one day. Again, just tons and tons of different kinds of cross hatching. Beside the fact that this is a simply delightful book, I think Dee Dee is coloring this page right now on her channel. She did a show. One of the other things that I absolutely love about this book is I used my little magnifier doohickey, and you see this little bug's list? This is actually a fly, and there's more about that at the back of the book. But it's got a list, and it's the fly's grocery list, and it says, you can actually read it. It says milk, bread, apples, butter, salt, and flour. So apparently that fly is going to be making some strudel later. At any rate, it's a delightful book, and so I got this. I really want to, look at how the curtains are drawn, and the little details, and I have my own ideas, but it does help to have like a reference, not to copy, but to be inspired by. How to draw a tree outside a window, broken glass, ideas for cross-hatching broken glass. Different ideas in wallpaper backgrounds, that kind of thing. Piano keys. Perfect example of how to draw piano keys. So I look at these books from probably a different point of view than a colorist would. Like I love the acanthus leaves. And, drawing ram's horns, that kind of thing. Shading is basically, the correct shading of the ram's horns. And, the spats and the socks and the, I believe the HH is His Royal Highness. I mean, I think that is exactly what that is. At any rate, so this is a wonderfully useful book for me, and I'm very glad that Deb enabled me to do it. Now, because I'm not a Prime member at Amazon, and I have to spend $25 to get the whole shipping, this book was like $13, and this book was $13, and this one has been on my list forever. I have put this in my cart, I have taken it out, put it back in, taken it out 1,000 times. And finally, I just said, you know what, I want it, I'm going to get it. It is intimidating as all get out. It is a seriously intimidating coloring adventure, but I wanted Manic Botanic, and now I have it. I saw a video just a couple of days ago. As soon as it arrived, I looked up, you know, because I thought, oh my, it really is Manic. I mean, it could make you crazy. And I looked up, there's I don't know if they're Czech or Russian or what, but I'll put a link to the video below of each page that's colored. This one artist did it all in one book, and it's marvelous. What they did is they basically used bright colors to pop out all of the focal points, and then used muted shades for and all one muted color family to do all of the background pieces, so that on each page what the focal points are, which is sometimes difficult to figure out, are actually popped out. So I'm really looking forward to working in Manic Botanic. It is right up my alley for books that I love, so that's it. This is the work in progress that from Sunday, and I had only gotten as far as putting on a first coat. This is Neo Color, and so I went ahead and continued working on this flower and adding some deeper hues. I kept adding color to it and just playing with different shading, different amounts of paint or watercolor and all of that. So I'll be continuing working on this on Sunday, but I was thinking that I would do a bit more base coating to get some more colors in there, make it more interesting. And what made me think of that was I began working on this one. Now, this is from my book, Fantasy Flower Garden, the one with the little furry creatures in it. This is one of the pictures from that book. There is a beautiful version of this that was done by a colorist named Tina Pankuch, and I showed one of her colorings recently on my Instagram page. She also did a version of this. These are close to her colors, but they're not exactly what she used. But I'm doing this one in Inktense. I have not to date done this one on camera, but the blend of coloring here, or colors, is, to my eye, is very pleasing. So I want to make this one as interesting to look at before we pick it up next Sunday. So so I'll be adding some greens and golds and just base coating it, and then we'll pick up the detail of working out the details on the live stream. The next book that I've got a WIP in is something, of course, that I didn't draw. This is Nathaniel Wake, Dragon Life, and the only thing that I did in here is I wanted to experiment with doing the doing this little dragon. I just thought he was cute, and I think he came out looking great. It's hard to be fierce when you're a translucent metallic purple dragon, But but he's got turquoise eyes and big teeth, and he's a really pretty color with gold horns and little Posca touches and things like that. So that's really the only, as far as I've done in this. But I was itching to color a dragon. I didn't want to do one of the big ones because I just didn't have time. So I did him one night while I was watching something on TV. And I just love how he came out. That's all done with Prismacolor, by the way. Prismacolor pencils. Then this one is in a book by Chris Garber called Color Odyssey. And I was experimenting. I got to go kind of widescreen on this. I was experimenting with my Jacquard Pearl X pigments. And so I mixed up a little batch of that, which is basically, it's this pigment powder, and then you can mix it with either water and then seal it, or mix it with something like, I was going to try mixing it with the neutral acrylic glaze that I have a little bottle of, and see if that does anything. But I use this just with water, and so I just painted a few of the leaves here and there in this picture by Chris, and then I'm doing it in I think that apparently I am using Prismacolors. I do, because when I've got a WIP like this that's unfinished and it's not a water medium, because I can recognize my water mediums. But if I'm doing something like this with colored pencils, I always try to put this, a little note. I'm using Prismacolors. This is what I use for the green leaves and white, then magenta, and I did the hydrangea in these colors, so that way I know what it is I'm working with and can go back to it. And then this, I showed you a little bit of this last week. I did go ahead and add that green background that I was talking about. The only medium that I had with the color green that I wanted was my water-based markers. Now, of course, they're streaky as all get out. I'm trying to decide if I want to leave it that way or if I want to make a trip to the store and get some green acrylic paint to try and find this color. Or I could just leave it streaky like this and tell you all that it's silk. You know, how they used to use silk to panel walls in all of the fancy houses. So I could just tell you that it's silk, and that's the silk texture. I haven't decided yet, but this is my work in progress from Romantic Country by Aerie. For a clarification, I think that as I was watching back my video, I I was pointing to these guys and saying that Aerie had only drawn in the table and the food. She also, of course, drew the characters. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I drew the background, the painting, the clock, and of course the floor. The background is all my addition. The garland, the table, the characters, and the foods, and all the stuff sitting on the table of course, all of the decorations on the tablecloth are all Aerie. So, at any rate, so this is coming along quite nicely, I think, and I'm really kind of happy with it. Nowhere near done. Still lots and lots and lots to do. I haven't done any shading at all. I added a little drop shadow here and here and on the tablecloth. But other than that, I haven't done any of the detail work. So, and the detail work, of course, is where the magic happens. So I still have to shade all all this wood carving. You know, I need to get my really sharp pencils out and do all the rest of the wood carving detail and all of that. So, but that is a look at my WIPs, and of course I am drawing. I am also just about ready to release another travel size book, so that'll be 2 in the collection. I am working on modifying those drawings still. So I wasn't going to work on this, and I'm gonna first off, I was thinking that I would work on this a little bit if you want me to. Let me think about that. If I am going to work on it, there'll be more to this video. I'll be right back. And I am back just like that through the magic of editing. So what I wanted to do is continue on with this, just do a little color mapping. I have gone back to the basics of a color palette that I've been working on that was originated by my friend Elizabeth Zach Siegel, who colored a version of this, which I've been able to feature on a line of sheets and pillowcases and bedspreads and comforters and things like that in these soft blues and purples, and of course these lovely jade and light teal greens. So I thought I would continue that on and just color map all of the places and just sort of chat and ask you how your week has been going. Here it is, Friday already. Seems hard to believe. I was at Dev's stream earlier this afternoon, and you know, checking out the new stuff that he has got in. He got some really cool gifts, a gift box from one of his subscribers, and a book that he'd been looking for and wanting for a long time, and it was miraculously in the box, along with a bunch of other really cool things. And so it was lovely to see such a wonderful guy who has been so generous in the community get such a lovely gift. And so all I'm really doing is just throwing down a base coat of what is essentially the wrong color, but that's okay. We can fix this. This is not really the color that I had intended to put down here. This actually is supposed to be for something else, but that's okay. We'll just roll with it. How about that? That's pretty funny. All that, I put down the wrong color. Oh well. So this is just Neocolor. I've just rubbed it, Neocolor 2. Just rubbed it on the Caran d'Ache palette here. And, you know, it's a hard palette with a bit of a texture. So the crayon just rubs right up on it. And then you mix it with a little water, and it makes a watercolor. And you can use these crayons either in the book directly, although I find that when I color with it in the book directly, with the crayon right on the page, and then dissolve it, that mine tend to be a little streaky. That way. So I much prefer wow. Hang on, guys. I have a squirrel or something in my attic making a noise. Hang on just 1 second. Let me, Good grief. It wasn't a squirrel in the attic. It was a possum outside on the metal awning above my window, and was apparently it was fighting to hold on. It looked like it got its claw or something caught in one of the slats. It was making a mighty ruckus, that's for sure. The wonders of living in Virginia with all the little creatures that populate the area. We have possums, we have squirrels, you know, probably all the standard stuff that everybody else has. Fortunately, we don't get too many bears. Well, actually, we don't get any in this area that I know of, at any rate. And so yeah. Okay. So that puts that shade down there. And then I know that, okay, I'm going to use Elizabeth's color palette. So in addition to that, she used this same color. Actually, she used jade green and teal, very similar to this. I picked up the wrong color, but that's okay because we're going to make it work for us. And right now, all I'm really doing is color mapping so that this puppy is a little prettier to look at when we do the stream on Sunday. And plus it saves time. This is what we call, in coloring, I call this the boring bits, where you're setting down your base coats of, since I like to work in water, with pencil over the top a lot of times, I call this the boring bit, the setting down of the base coat to establish what color things are going to be. Plus, it really helps me to think, just like I was talking about in that Manic Botanic book, that, you know, that is a book that if you're going to color in that, requires a great deal of thought. You have to pretty much pre-plan what you're going to do for your background anyway. I'm really looking forward to doing something in that book. Irina Vinick, whose book that is, she is the artist who's featured in Manic Botanic. I think that's her name. Yeah, Vinick, Irina Vinick. And it's a tension taming. So it's supposed to be called a tension taming book. Yeah. So at any rate, I would call it a panic-inducing book. So I am looking forward to giving it a try because I think panic-inducing is a challenge. Now, as you can see, I did get a little. I hit this accidentally with some dark purple, and I tried to lift it out with just a wet brush since it's watercolor, not ink. But I was unsuccessful in doing that, so I'll just end up covering that over with either a little white paint or maybe even just a white gel pen so that you can't see it. But I'll wait until the end to do that. Okay, so that is all of that color that I need. And that is all of that color that I need. Now, this is the color that I originally thought that I'd go for. That one that I was using was the 171, which, let's see here, my swatch book tells me that that 171 has the name, because remember mine is an old set and the names aren't written on it. That was the turquoise blue. So that turquoise blue will be mixed against this contrasting color malachite green eventually. And now what I'm going to use is the 211, which is the jade green. So I'll scribble that on my palette out here. Pardon me. And this will be for the once again, all I'm doing is just mixing it around with a little bit of water from my water brush. And this is for the stems and the leaves. And it's just a base, once again, a base coat of the color that will then use various contrasting colors to do highlights and shadows and things like that. Let's see, I'm trying to think if is there any news worthy of reporting here in the United States? Our government is still shut down as of today. Can't really talk about that, so I'm one of the folks that that would rather not see a wall built between us and anybody else. So that's all I can say about that. And I think of the good things that have happened in the news. There's got to be some good things that have gone on in the news. Oh, a good news is that of course Lin-Manuel Miranda is reprising his role as Hamilton and doing a series of shows down in Puerto Rico to do some fundraising for helping to restore funding for the arts down there, which of course is important. I think that funding of the arts is a very important enterprise. I think it really helps to. I mean, the arts are so important to mental health, for one thing, and culture and preserving who we are. We've always communicated through art. Our old civilizations have managed to communicate with us through the art that they created and left behind. Otherwise, how would we know about the cave dwellers and, you know, what their daily lives were like if they hadn't have left us all those paintings on walls? I mean, for time eternal, art has been the art and music have been the universal methods of communicating with each other. I know that when we sent space probes out, one of the things that they made sure that they included was a huge sampling of the music that was available here on Earth. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that also on that golden disc that they included in that, I think it's Voyager is the name of that spacecraft that was sent out, and it's just out there. I mean, it's just floating around. It finally has floated out of our galaxy and into another, I think. We've lost track of it, but it's got music, it's got examples of paintings, Leonardo da Vinci and Rossetti and all the old masters, Rubens, pictures of, cave paintings. It's got just all kinds of art, books, art, music, to show that we're not a primitive people, I guess. I find color mapping so helpful when working out a color palette. Especially if it's something that is going to involve a lot of different color families. So just helps to keep me on track as to what it is that I'm doing. Of course, I just love to, I admit it, I love to color. It used to make me so anxious to color, because whenever I would sit and color, I would feel like I should be drawing. But now that I have, I'm in a total of, well, there's 9 of my own, including the travel size book, plus the 2 treasury books. So, I'm in 11, and then I'm also in a magazine, so that's 12. And hopefully my new travel book will be out shortly. It's likely to be a little while before I have a new full-size book, but there will be a new full-size book this year. I just don't know exactly when. I'd like to make it before summer, but we shall see. Hopefully I haven't lost all the watchers doing this boring stuff. Let me zoom you back down just a tad. Make sure that that's in focus. And let's see here, just go with, try autofocus, and turn it off again. That should work from that distance. Hopefully autofocus works from that difference. I did threaten this week to do a content video on focusing with this particular camera, and then I realized that I'm not any more expert at it than really anyone else. It's just the experimentation. Sometimes you actually have to get a lot closer with the camera to get it to focus really well. The problem is the C920 was actually designed as it's a wide angle lens. It wasn't really designed to do close-up work like we use it for, and which is why we all have such problem with the mid-range focus on it, because you do have to focus this camera manually when you get closer than a certain point, and it doesn't do well at this sort of mid-range. It's really good close-up, and it's really good far away, but it's not super duper for the mid-range unless you manually focus it every time you move it. So, as opposed to relying on autofocus. So I'm guessing that it's okay right now, because I'm not really that close to the work. I'll know when I watch the playback. That's another thing that I think everybody needs to do. Everybody who makes content for YouTube needs to watch their videos back. I was shocked on Sunday to go back in and see the number of questions where people were actually shouting at me, and I just completely missed it. Even my mods tried to get my attention, and I just, I was just completely oblivious. My hair was in shots. Poor Marilyn. Marilyn, if you happen to watch, my favorite pencils are Prismacolors. So, and I will also address that on Sunday when I stream again, to offer you my public apology for having missed your question, missed it when May asked it, missed it, on your behalf. I just completely missed it. And then, of course, my hair being in the shots was accidental, but also, something that I know I now need to watch out for. Okay, so now that is all of the jade green that I need right at this particular point. So the next color that I need to color map, I'm going to just take a second and use a little cloth here, dip it in my water, and wipe off my palette so I don't mix my colors up. And then just set that to the side. Then I'm going to use a purple, and this one is 131, which translates to the periwinkle blue. So I'm using the periwinkle blue and scribbling a little down on the palette, mushing it around a little with my brush. They call it blue, but it's actually purple. And then this is for these. Once again, I'm following a palette that was provided for, or that was originally done by one of the colorists that I really admire from my group. And so this is roughly the colors that she used. In the one that she did. So these are the leafy things that she did in these purple shades. She did that on all of these. I finally finished the book that I was reading called Mercy Snow, and it was very good. It was a it had a oh gosh, what was the name of the book that oh shoot, it was a book. Jude Law was in a movie. Jude Law and Nicole Kidman made a movie of it. But in the end, sort of the main character doesn't make it to all the way to the end of the book. But just like in that particular book, the name is on the tip of my tongue. Something about a frozen mountain. At any rate, but without their going, the story would lose all its poignancy, kind of thing. But ultimately it's a redemptive tale of second chances, and you know, it's really very good. It was really very good. So I can recommend Mercy Snow as a good read. Not great literature, but a very good read. It's almost time for me to go back and reread Atlas Shrugged, but I reread it last year. I normally try and reread it every couple of years, or when as often as I need to remember that hard work is the only real reward. You know, the satisfaction of a job well done. It's what it is all about. And I do oh, by the way, thank you to all the people who have been buying books using my Amazon links. It is only because of you that I was actually able to order either of those two books that I got in this week. Because oops, sorry. Darn. Okay, well, that's a mistake. I got into that, and that's going to be that's supposed to be yellow, so that's going to be a problem. But that's okay. Worst comes to worst, we can fix that. Yeah, that's really my Amazon affiliate links. They don't pay me money. What they do is they pay me Amazon credits so that I can use that as those credits build up. Those dollar credits, I can use them to purchase things for the channel. Obviously, if there's enough of them, I could purchase something like lights and all of that, but I never seem to let it get any higher than $25 before I buy an art supply of some kind. So. And it's almost always a book from another artist. Okay, 2 more of these to go. Yeah, that was the right color. I'm just mixing off here to the side. Sorry. Trying to think if I've seen anything interesting this week. I haven't really had a chance to get into very many streams this week. I saw Deb this afternoon, and I missed May. I had forgotten that she has changed her stream to Wednesday. It was on Tuesday, but until further notice, it's going to be on Wednesdays. But there was good news that Deb is going to be adding a second live to his lineup, and that'll be on, I believe he said it was going to be on Tuesday evenings, or, Tuesdays around the same time. So that that time is around, I think it's around 4 o'clock here in the States, here in Eastern, Standard Time. So that is 9 o'clock UK time, I believe. Because I believe that the United Kingdom is, or at least the England, Scotland part of the United Kingdom is 5 hours ahead of East Coast United States. And Zarget Hunter put up Zarget Hunter put up a great video showing painting. She painted a still life of squash, and there's squash, a plum, and an apple, and she used a butternut squash. And so those of you who were in one of my impromptu streams will know why that was so funny, and the rest of you will just have to go watch the second impromptu. I think that it was the second one that we just had a little bit of a fun and tumble at my expense, led by May, but it was hilarious. And so if you haven't seen it, you should. I'll try and put an info card in for it here so you can go check that out. It was fun and hilarity prevailed over a butternut squash. And my poor attempt to draw one. Oh gosh. These blues and purples are so they're so calming. I don't want to call them boring colors because they're not boring. They're beautiful, but they're very, they're very calming. The blues, the purples, the teals, the greens. Use a little racing car red to get your blood pumping. Race car red. Okay, what color are we working with? Purple? Is that the last of it? That is the last of the lavender purple. Okay, so now I will reach forward, grab my water, and brush, or clean my brush a little more thoroughly than just on a regular paper towel, because I'm about to switch to yellow. So once again, I will wipe my palette clear of residual paint. And now I am going for the number 020, which is the golden yellow. And this is one of the crayons that was broken in half in my set when I got it, which was why I got it for only $25, which is a steal for the Neo colors. So we will once again rinse and repeat as far as just mixing up a little of this color. And here we are through the magic of editing. We have a completely color mapped drawing. Once again, this is from my book, Flowers of Wonder. The page is available as a free download from my album on Facebook. I will put a link down below in the description, and I will continue coloring this on my live stream on Sunday. I do hope that you will consider joining us there and watch as we continue to color this page from Flowers of Wonder. Additionally, on this end screen, you will see that there are videos that I recommend for you to watch. I will also put the video to the hilarity one about the squash is there. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Color something pretty until we meet again. See you then. Bye-bye.